Our project focuses on how teens become targets for human trafficking online.
Say maybe like a 9 or a 10, honestly. And in our country, I'm not very familiar with it, but I'd also say it's a good solid 8.
5 to 6 maybe, just because I'm not really knowledgeable in that aspect. As for the amount of human trafficking in our country, once again, since I'm not very knowledgeable in that aspect, and because I don't know, like I haven't heard of any cases of that happening here and with us, I personally perceive it as relatively low.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I believe that human trafficking is an issue of 6 on a global level, but highly depends on the region. So yeah.
Hey guys, today after school, I'll be at the mall at 3 p.m. trying Black Sheep ice cream with my best friend. See you there!
I don't know about this. It doesn't really seem safe. You're revealing her location online to strangers. I think I'm gonna text her about it.
She's just overreacting. I'm sure it's fine.
No.
My best friend. See you there!
On the mall, 3 p.m. Got it. This will be a piece of cake.
Human trafficking, one of the fastest growing criminal industries in the world. It affects every region, every country, and people of all ages. Human trafficking in its form is the exploitation of a person through force or fraud, usually for some sort of profit. There isn't just one type of human trafficking. The most common forms include sex trafficking, domestic servitude, child trafficking, and labor trafficking. Trafficking doesn't always have to be violent or dramatic either. And often it begins with forms of manipulation, which can include online conversations, false opportunities, or pressure from somebody that the victim trusts. For our research, where we learn more about online traffickers, we've learned that online traffickers don't just stumble upon their victims, they literally look for them. They study what teens post, where they go, who they're with, even what they're insecure about. Sometimes they may act like sort of a friend to you, a romantic interest, a mentor figure, and somebody their age that they can trust, but this can quickly be proven wrong. Human trafficking affects millions. The International Labor Organization estimates that at least 27.6 million people are trapped in forced labor, and children make up about 1 in 4 trafficking victims. Putting more spotlight on our topic, online recruitment has become one of the fastest growing methods that traffickers use nowadays. Instead of approaching somebody in person, they study teens and their behaviors using social media, discovering what school they go to, where they hang out, and who their friends are. A report by Safe Austin shows that more than 50% of child trafficking survivors in recent years met their trafficker online, through a DM, comment, or a fake profile. And grooming isn't always as obvious as one might think it is, because traffickers use emotional manipulation and flattery to trick their victims. In a study from Hope for Justice, it is shown that at least 89% of trafficked teenage girls have been groomed online before exploitation. Focusing more on the Balkan regions, a study by an NGO, Atina, found that 42 of female trafficking survivors reported having experienced online abuse like cyberbullying and other forms of digital exploitation. According to Balkan Insight, for 31% of these survivors, the online abuse was directly linked to their trafficking. What actually makes online trafficking so dangerous is how invisible it is, and it shows that you don't have to meet somebody in a dark alley, and all it really takes is one post, one message, and the wrong sort of attention.
When we talk about human trafficking, a lot of people think of some sketchy guy kidnapping people, but it can also start online, and what people don't realize is that a lot of it is psychological. According to Europol, traffickers study people online through social media, dating platforms, and job recruitment websites. They scroll through public profiles and pick people by what they post, especially if someone seems vulnerable, lonely, or insecure. They start by acting friendly and supportive, usually lying about their identities and personal information. This is the grooming part. They gain trust through fake friendships or relationships to understand your emotions and routines, so they can manipulate and exploit you. Europol explains how traffickers pay attention to details teens post. For example, when they're home alone, where they hang out, or if they're arguing with friends or family. They look for weaknesses they can use to make the victim feel understood, convincing them to share more, do things that they normally wouldn't, and eventually even meet up. Online trafficking usually starts with manipulation, exploitation, and grooming, not violence. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or NACMEC, most cases begin when a trafficker finds a vulnerable teen on social media or other apps. They look for posts that reveal emotions, insecurities, and routines, things that teens don't realize can be used against them. NACMEC says they receive millions of reports every year through their cyber pipeline, showing just how common online targeting is. Traffickers use this information to manipulate teens, and if they convince them to send pictures, they use it as blackmail. Because of the growth of online trafficking, many agencies are fighting it. The Southeast European Law Enforcement Center, or SELEC, supports our country, Serbia, as well as Romania and Bulgaria in tracking trafficking networks and sharing information when traffickers use apps to recruit victims. In our community, the Department for Human Trafficking, the Department for Cybercrime, and the National Contact Center for Child Safety on the Internet investigates these cases and help victims. All these organizations analyze digital data, suspicious travel patterns, and online communication to identify possible tracking early. This shows how traffickers use the internet because it's fast and anonymous, but law enforcement is becoming just as advanced in stopping them before they reach a victim.
We want to share the results of our Human Trafficking Awareness Survey, which we conducted for well-informed. Our goal was to understand how informed people really are about the risks and signs of human trafficking in general. Putting our specific topic to the side for a bit. We listed a series of questions ranging from one's age and gender to how they first heard about human trafficking and what they think should improve when it came to the lack of awareness people have surrounding it. Our results showed that women and girls were much more aware of the danger of human trafficking than the boys or men taking the survey. We also saw that for social media, kids and teens are becoming more aware of said issues. However, after reviewing all the responses, one thing became very clear. Most people are not as aware as they think they are. What really stood out to us was how people had very limited knowledge when it came to human trafficking. We saw that many responders think trafficking mostly happens in other countries or far away.
Why teenagers are at risk online? They are at risk because online traffickers are more likely to target them than adults. The internet made it easier for strangers to reach young people, since traffickers can pretend that they are a kid at their age. There are some red flags to look out for. They are asking for personal details, asking for photos or videos, if they are pushing or keeping the relationship secret, or just general encouraging inappropriate behavior. We create a slogan
That even you can use
In order to protect yourself and others when it comes to online safety.
It's called the click.
C. Check before you post.
lock your info.
I. Identify red flags.
C. Contact a trusted adult. K.
Keep your account secure.
They look for things like loneliness, low confidence, need protection, etc. They should block them, tell parents or teachers or some other trusted adult, then decide if they need to inform police about it. They should be aware of the activities of their kids, to set clear boundaries, and to constantly educate themselves about the topic so they can be proactive and help their kids. The first line of defense is adults, like parents and teachers. When it reaches the police, the main unit is the Department for Cybercrime, also known as VTK. They work with social media platforms, and if something suspicious is detected, they investigate to see if the threat is real. If the case involves other countries, they open communication channels with similar units to protect the victim. There's also a separate department for human trafficking, and the two work together. VTK handles the online part, while the trafficking department manages everything else. If minors are involved, social services and NGOs also join the case to support and protect the child. Traffickers have people who are very technically savvy and learn to adapt so they don't get caught. Meanwhile, police have to adapt as well to be able to keep catching the bad people.
Traffickers look for trust and fear.
One click can put you at risk.
But one choice can keep you safe.
One action can protect your friends.
Together, we stop trafficking before it starts.